Un-Billable Hour Community Table, where real lawyers from all around the country with real issues they are dealing with right now meet together virtually to present their questions to Christopher T. Anderson, lawyer and law firm management consultant. New questions every episode, and none of it scripted. The real conversations happen here. In our first question, Christopher and an attorney analyze why the attorney's quarterly revenue dropped 50% year over year.
My question is about my revenue in Q4 was about 50% of where it was a year before.
Q4 of 21. Q4 22 was 50% of Q4 21.
Yeah. And that was quite unpleasant.
Now, remind me, what was your production staff level Q4 22 compared to Q4 21?
In terms of bodies, I have more bodies, which makes it especially painful.
Yeah.
In terms of who the bodies are, we gently assisted one body out the door at the beginning of Q4 and replaced them with a much better body.
Okay, so it's not due to a lack of production capacity. That's the question. So that's not
I
it.
could use more, but I don't have less than I did the year before.
So that's a big. And so my second question with that would be: is it a timing issue? Did you just have some bills that got paid early January that normally would have been paid in December, or anything like that? Or did some bills that normally would have been paid in October get paid on the last week of September? I mean, did you have any timing issues where September was hot and January's hot, and so the fourth quarter looked weird?
Not really. I was also looking not just at gross revenue, but at potential clients that contacted my firm.
You read my mind. So the first thing I always like to look at when I see, 50% is a huge move, right? So I just like to look for anomalies. Was staffing different? Was there a timing problem? Okay, no.
There's one thing that was an anomaly, which is that, and I've become like a preacher about this, my Google profile, the Google My Business profile, was taken down by the algorithm.
Well, that'll hurt.
Yeah.
How much of your business comes from Google paid search?
Very little, but okay. I do get unpaid. I get more business from unpaid search on Google. People in my neighborhood look up elder law attorney and I would come up.
But that goes straight to GMB though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing how much better you do in Google My Business when you actually spend a bunch with Google. It's remarkable. So it's not directly paid, but it's influenced. So, and did you lose all your reviews too?
I did.
When did this happen?
I don't know exactly when it happened. I suspect around the beginning of November, end of October. I discovered it in mid-December because I was like freaking out, and I, got it back up. Apparently, if it's recoverable if you get it fast enough, get to it quickly enough, but I wasn't able to. I am back to 55-star reviews.
That's remarkable.
Of real clients.
What caused this?
We don't know.
Jeez Louise.
My Google person, my SEO person doesn't know. She said they were taking down a ton because people make fake GMB
absolutely.
profiles, right? So she basically was saying like they clear stuff out periodically and you kind of, even though you're real and legit, you got caught up.
Okay. So there's some lessons here for everybody, which I'll talk to in a minute. But I want to first talk to you about what you're looking to solve. So, okay, that might have something to do with it, right?
Most of our clients are still referral based, but it helps.
Well, plus what I find is like sometimes like websites and Google My Business and reviews don't just serve the initial look purpose. It's people go to validate. People go to your website to validate. People go to Google My Business to validate. People look you up. So congratulations on getting the 50 reviews. That's fast. That's really fast. So that's fantastic. Do you track how many qualified leads you get per week, per month, and how many signups you get per week, per month? All goes to my question is, are you back to doing what you used to do? Like, are you getting the same number of qualified leads? Are you landing the same number of clients now in the second week of January, third week of January that you would have been in third week of January a year ago?
I'm not.
So before I give you some answers, then let me make sure I'm clear on what is the question you're asking.
I find myself in a very uncomfortable situation where I am not in that, I'm theoretically not in that hustle market sell mode, right? But I am.
You better be.
And looking for some general feedback, advice, and then kind of a subset of that is rolling out a less expensive product.
That's not the answer.
That's not the answer. So we're not even going to talk about that.
Well, because has that been a problem? I mean, if you've dropped 50%, the problem isn't that because the list went 50% ago. Before you dropped 50%, did you have a less expensive product then?
No.
Right. So that's not the answer. Let's fix what's broken. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not telling you not to roll out a less expensive product. That would be an interesting expansion of your business potential. If that works for your business, you could do an experiment to see if that's what you work. We could also talk about whether that's the direction you want to take your business is more, lower end. I pass zero judgment on that. I have great clients whose average case value is under $1,000. I have great clients whose average case value is north of $30,000 and everywhere in between. You can build a business around either one, but we don't fix this problem by rolling out new products. You had something that was working. It broke. Let's fix it. And then go back to experimenting on your business.
Yes. This is where I find myself like, maybe I should cut my prices. Maybe these are bad.
Yeah, bad. Because that's not what broke. Because that's not what was broke. What got fixed. Again, all things to consider, but not right now. Right now, we got to fix the problem. And the lesson here for everybody is diversity of business sources, revenue sources, new client sources. Like she's got referrals, but everything was going through a choke point, even though she had a referral business and SEO or organic business. I think that what's the evidence here, it seems to point towards that everybody was at least using or going to this as a verification point. And I'm going to also guess that with that change, that perhaps your page authority and or where you're ending up in searches is gotten hurt as you rebuild the authority with Google. So in driving business, one of the theories, axioms that I use is that organic search, referrals are ways of building wealth in your business. And by wealth, I mean, a certain capital in your business that continues to produce clients. It's wealth. You don't have to, you take a long time to build it and it keeps paying dividends, which is great. And we should continue doing that. But when things go wrong, when you're just starting, when you launch a new line of business, when you're trying to grow really fast, when you need money, which is different than wealth, it's time for interrupt. I just learned this as a new phrase from my marketing team. Interrupt-based marketing. In this circumstance, probably mostly paid search.
What did you call this? Interrupt?
I'm sorry. No, ignore that. I'm going to talk about interrupt-based marketing here in a second. Paid search. Paid search is demand-based marketing. There's demand and interrupt. We need paid search right now. We need demand-based marketing. Basically what I'm telling you is it's time for us to go back to the bottom of the funnel right now because you need money. Revenues have dried up. We need to get some money in the door. When you need money in the door today, we go bottom of funnel. Changing your business, like a product offering, that's top of funnel stuff. That stuff takes months to prove out. We need to go back to bottom of funnel. We need paid search. We possibly need social. We need to enter into conversations that people are already having, and people even more so are even asking the question. We need to get in front of people who are asking the question. The fastest, bestest way to do that is to engage in some good paid search that highly targets your target market with beautiful, perfect copy, beautiful landing pages, great gives from you. So, any content that you can put out there as part of this, video, typed, whatever, screw lead magnets, screw all sorts of funnels. we're talking about you need this now, buy it now. Then when we start getting traction there, we move back up the funnel to lead magnets and funnel and sequences and that kind of stuff. But we need bare knuckle search engine marketing. Not that drops them into a long sequence, but that drops them right into a consult.
Can you give me you said gifts, etc., but not lead magnets?
Right. So the gift would be on the landing page. Watch this video about this, and the video is going to be like, call us now. Let me tell you about Marcia and John, who died on Christmas Day, and their kid's Christmas present was going to foster care. Call us now. No, hey, there's this magical trust and no. This has got this hard-nosed, bare knuckle, punch him in the face, get some business. Then we can start moving back up the funnel. But we got to fix the revenue stream first, or your business won't be around long enough to have stuff drop through the funnel.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you get traction, we start doing other things. We move up the funnel and start doing things that take a little bit longer, that bring in better clients and better business, and rebuild to back where you were, and then rebuild past that. But, when it's time to fix, it's time to fix.
So if I am looking to do this kind of paid search, I know that budgets are different based on markets and, et cetera, but
how much revenue are you down? But it doesn't matter, because then I'm going to tell you the budget. So whatever the number is, was doing $100,000 a month and is now doing $50,000 a month. So she's down $50,000. I'm totally making that number up. To quickly generate $50,000 a month of new revenue, her spend on advertising needs to be about $5,000 a month until we get it back.
So 10% about.
At least. It's a good place to start, and then you find out. I don't know, to answer the question more thoroughly, I'd have to see what your general cost of acquisition has been historically from paid search, what your average cost per lead has been, what your average cost per client. If you've got that data historically, then you can figure out the number for yourself. But if you don't have the data, I go with 10%. We start there and we work our way, then we feel our way to the right number, because I don't know what the number is. But it's not a bad place to start. You should, good marketing should be getting 7 to 12x return in gross revenues, or it's not working.
That's the number I was looking for.
And it won't happen in a day, but with paid search, it can happen pretty fast. Law Clerk's nationwide network of talented freelance lawyers is trusted by thousands of law firms. Solo attorneys and firms can get help with project-based work and also ongoing work via a subscription. Sign up is free, and there are no monthly fees. You only pay when you delegate work. Plus, Law Clerk has a new app for your mobile device to help you manage the work you've delegated while you're on the go. Be sure to use referral code Un-Billable when you sign up at lawclerk.legal.
Hey, Guy, what's up?
Just having some lunch, Conrad.
Hey, Guy, do you see that billboard out there?
Oh, you mean that guy out there in the gray suit?
Yeah, the gray suit guy.
Order up.
There's all those beautiful, rich, leather-bound books in the background.
That is exactly the one. That's J.D. McGuffin at Law. He'll fight for you!
I bet you he has got so many years of experience.
Like decades and decades. And I bet he even went to a law school.
Are you a lawyer? Do you suffer from dull marketing and a lack of positioning in a crowded legal marketplace? Sit down with Guy and Conrad for Lunch Hour Legal Marketing on the Legal Talk Network. Available wherever podcasts are found.
In this next question, an attorney wants to stop being the go-to person for every issue within her firm.
I'm dealing with some, chain of command issues in my team as we've gotten larger. And I don't really know when this happened or how this happened, but now all of these stupid, minute questions seem to come to me first. And I don't know how to best and quickly nip this in the bud. Like this morning, I got 2 calls about our internet being down. I'm in Arizona. What do you want me to do about it?
Fix it.
I have a whole administrator who was in the office this morning. Why is anybody calling me about the internet, as well as an office manager? I don't know how to. I need to fix this problem because they are.
This is normal. 2 things are happening. simultaneously, and they're different. So it's important to acknowledge both of them. One is, since we're on Zoom, that means that you've got a video of yourself somewhere on this screen. Look at that video. Go like, that person taught them to. That's why. Because when your business was smaller, you were the go-to person and you fixed everything because you couldn't tolerate the internet being down. That meant like we weren't talking to clients, we weren't getting leads, like that had to be fixed right away. So, if they didn't tell you, you would be freaking pissed off because that's your whole business. So part of it is that you've taught, it's out there in the world. It's respect in a way. Like people believe you can fix anything. Kind of like kids go to believe their mom and dad can fix everything. So and part of that served you and part of that made you feel good for a while. Part of it might even still. But so just recognize that take responsibility for it when you deal with it. Don't blame others, blame yourself. It's really helpful. So how to deal with it then is to stop immediately. Like, hey, thanks for letting me know, but that's going to be much more effectively fixed by calling name of office manager right now. So give them a call. Thanks so much. They'll let me know if they if they need anything, but they've got this under control. And just cut it off. Do not help. Don't slam it in their face because you're responsible for them calling you, but don't help. Do not help even a little. Just send them to where you want them to go. Do that enough times and the people will get the message. And then of course, your next team meeting, reiterate it. Just like, listen, folks, if everybody thinks that I want to know that the internet's broken because that's really important, you're right. It is really important. And it's really important that it get fixed efficiently and fast. And I ain't the one to do it. So if you want to respect the fact that I think it's really, really important, please make sure to call the office manager. Same thing if anything goes wrong, if a client complaint or whatever else you don't want on your plate, make sure that the team is clearly delineated as to where they're supposed to go. In my business, which is also, quadrupled in the past year in number of people, one of the things that we've done that's been super duper helpful is we created and update monthly what we call a function matrix. And this is just a list of things that can go wrong in the business and who to call. So we have who's the owner and who's the backup owner. So call person A. If you can't reach them, call person B, or Slack in our circumstance. Nobody's supposed to call anybody or email anybody, but it doesn't matter. Like, who do you contact person A, then contact person B for everything that can go wrong in the business. So, you got an HR problem, call A, call B. Internet's down, call A, call B. You feel sad, call A, call B. Your paycheck didn't come, call A, call B. Whatever it is, they have a go-to and a second person. So that if I ever do get the call, which quite honestly, I don't anymore, which is kind of like, and this is why I picked on you at first, because like sometimes it's sort of like nobody's calling me. It's like, hey, it's just like I was off yesterday and they didn't even miss me, which I should be celebrating, but a little bit it's like, oh. If they do, my first reaction is, hey, did you call A? What did they say? Couldn't reach them? Did you call B? What did they say? And if they say I couldn't reach A or B, then I say, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to reach out to them and I'll have them call you right away. And then that is something I want. Like if they can't reach A or B, I do want them to come to me. And I'll find out where A and B are.
Right.
Because it's their job.
Exactly.
The second thing is that people, when your organization grows, they resist, resent, and feel hurt by the distance between you and them. When I was in a much larger organization, we used to call it getting layered. And everybody hates getting layered. You used to report directly to the CEO. Then you reported to a VP, and then you reported to a senior director who reported to the VP who reported to the CEO. You got layered 3 times. People hate that. They just hate it. I used to feel like she cared. Now she doesn't care anymore. What a bitch. Like that's the harder one to deal with. So you've got to do other things in your business to show you care, to nip that part in the bud. Make sure you've got everybody's birthday and that you're sending a personal note, kid's birthday, whatever you can, just like things that you can do that don't cost you a whole lot of time or energy to show that you're still personally connected with each and every member of your team. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing things right, they're there because of your mission. There's something about you that brought them to this business. And you need to show that love back all the time, just not in being available to them to fix the internet.
Right.
But like if, all of us who've had and have children know that if you don't pay enough attention to them, they'll find a way to get you to pay attention to them. First, they'll do nice things. Then they'll do less nice things. And they don't even care if the attention is yelling. It's better in their brains than no attention. And it's the same with your team. So that's what I meant by the second thing. I'm glad I remembered. So the first thing is, and that's how you solve it. It's not a quick fix either. It's going to take a little while. But, by a little while, I mean a month or two to really get them in the habit of going back to, but you've got to be relentless. It's like, did you call A? What'd they say? Like, do not help.
Okay. That was helpful.
In our last question, Christopher explains how he uses daily meetings to increase efficiency within his firm.
Chris, real quick, I have a question about huddles. Do you do daily or you do daily huddles, don't you?
Absolutely. I'm an extreme believer, and I believe watering, I call them scrums, and I did not invent it. That is from Agile Scrum methodology, which is from the development world. But I believe watering them down makes them ineffective. I believe daily is essential. Keeps them short, keeps them sweet. And they're also out there called standups, which, in the world of Zoom has become less relevant. But when I do them in person, nobody sits unless they have some sort of disability that requires sitting. Yes, they must be daily. And just because there's listeners and stuff, I want to just explain what this thing is, right? So this is part of a meeting cadence. It's as a standalone, it's somewhat effective, but it really is part of a meeting cadence where you have a daily scrum, a weekly swamp out, it's what I call it. And then you have monthly topical meetings and quarterly strategic meetings. And these things all marry up one to the other. The scrum is a team meeting. And what this all does is facilitates peer management, self-organizing teams. So it reduces top-down management and improves peer management. So in the daily scrum, everybody stands up and answers 3 questions. What did you do since last scrum? What are you committing to do between now and the next scrum? And these should only be things that move cases forward. I can't stand people who come to scrums and say, I called the client. Unless you call the client, move the ball forward, like touch base with client, updated client, don't want to hear it in the scrum. So what did you do since last scrum? What are you committing to do between now and the next scrum? And where are you stuck? And this, to me, as a business leader, I'm listening mostly for the stucks. The team members should be listening mostly for the dids and gonna do's, because they're relying then on, if you say you're going to do something, then I'm relying on you getting that done. I might be waiting on that for something else, but I'm listening for the stucks because my job in the scrum, generally speaking, is to clear obstacles. So I'm listening for the stucks. And if we can handle it within the scrum timeframe, which by the way is no more than 15 minutes, the meeting is 15 minutes and not a minute longer. If it can't be handled during that, we schedule it for what I call after scrum, which is an optional meeting immediately after the scrum, where people can come if they have a stuck or if they're involved in the stuck. The reason this is so powerful is that when you're coming to scrum, you're coming prepared because you don't want to face those questions of the stucks in front of everybody. When you're all together in this self-organizing methodology, boom, 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 it's handled and nobody can hide.
So 2 really quick questions. What time do you have this at? Because some people start in, different times. And what if it's an attorney needs to be in court? Like, do they just skip it?
Yes, not just skip it. Yes, you skip it. Scrum always goes on, no matter what. If the Scrum Master, which by the way isn't the leader, the Scrum Master is just some member of the team. They write down what everybody said, and then the leader is listening for stucks. But no matter who can't make it, it goes on. The rule should be and is in my teams: if you can't make it, you must give your report to someone else to announce for you what I did, what I plan to do, and if you have any stucks. But the meeting goes on. You asked what time. I have tried so many different times, and I have settled on doing this at 11 o'clock. We have a scrum every day at 11 o'clock. Swamp outs at 11 o'clock. Team meetings are at 11 o'clock. Every meeting that we have is at 11 o'clock. So everybody on my team knows it's 11 o'clock. I don't remember what meeting I've got, but I've got one. And then they go figure out what meeting they've got because they have a meeting every day at 11 o'clock. My commitment in doing this, which yours should be too, is that you always get people, you start your meetings on time and you end them on time so that people don't feel like they drag on and on and on.
If there's tangents, what do you say? Like cut it out?
Yep. You got to either say, we're going to take that to after Scrum, or that's a topical meeting. We're going to set a time for that. That's going to take more, because after Scrum, the maximum time that you can deal with something in after Scrum is about 2 to 3 minutes. If it's going to take longer than that, it needs a separate topical meeting. We'll say, when is that meeting going to be? How long does it need to be? And what the agenda is, so that when we have that meeting, we're going to say, okay, the agenda for this meeting is to clear this obstacle, and boom. But yeah, you don't my Scrum Masters have gotten really good at this, but for I'd say 3 to 4 months, one of my roles in Scrums was to cut the shit, cut the diagonals, cut the chatter. So when it hits 11 o'clock, I'm like, if nobody else has said it, but now my Scrum Masters do, I don't have to do it anymore. But if no one else has said it, I'm just like, who's first? And boom. And if then we just go. Like, no, how's everybody doing? How was your night? What did you see the game? None of that shit. Go. 15 minutes. We got to get started.
Do you suggest we do anyone want to tell me something good, to a segue in?
We do that in our team meeting. There's no time in the Scrum for that.
Yeah.
Scrum is Scrum. You don't use it for any other purpose. We do lots and lots of touchy-feely. We do lots and lots of sharing, but we do that in the appropriate meetings that are for that. And, because of that, I have a 100% remote team. And the general feedback we get is that they feel more connected to their teammates than they did in their in-person workspace before us.
You do tell me something good at your weekly.
Yeah, the typical agenda for the weekly is tell me about a win since the last team meeting, a personal or business. Tell me about something bad that happened that you learned from, and tell me about something that you really wish was better about this business. And that's the 3 things they report on in their team meeting. And we don't talk any business.
Oh, got it. And that's with everybody.
Yep.
And that's how often was that team meeting?
I do them every 2 weeks. So those are also at 11. Well, they're actually right after Scrum. So they're immediately after Scrum. And 1 week I have a team meeting like that. And the second week, this is new. This is something new I've added. I do office hours because one of the ways we can improve the business feedback that we got consistently last year was more communication from management. And so management is committed to being at the office hours on the weeks that there's not a team meeting, and you can ask anything. And we also commit, like, if you need to talk, if they want to talk to my partner about me, that's fine. They can go into a private room with whomever they want to go talk about me behind my back. And that's okay. So people can go into private rooms. They can go into group rooms. They can just stay in the general place, but it's just office hours. Come talk about whatever you want. No agenda.
What's that link to talk about you behind your back?
I will give it to you.
All right. That's helpful. I'm just trying to reconcile it with something I learned over the last, at a recent workshop. And I just wanted to see that there's different variations apparently of this concept.
There are. I mean, Gino Wick talks about stuff like this. Vern Hardish talks about stuff like this. And that all comes from older stuff. Dan Sullivan talks about stuff like this. And that all comes from way back, Covey talks about stuff like this. This is old. This is not new. It's just the way that I've implemented it brings something that these other people just generally haven't, which is I bring the Scrum methodology as part of it, because I use Scrum in a much broader sense than just this meeting cadence. I use Scrum to decide what we're going to work on. I use Scrum to decide what we're going to deliver to the market, and bringing the Scrum methodology onto and layering it onto this really, I think, empowers it and kind of supercharges it.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for listening. This has been the Un-Billable Hour Community Table on the Legal Talk Network.
Workers' Comp Matters is a podcast dedicated to exploring the laws, the landmark cases, and the true stories that define our workers' compensation system. I'm Judd Pierce, and together with Alan Pierce, we host a different guest each month as we bring to life this diverse area of the law. Join us on Workers' Comp Matters on the Legal Talk Network.